Good afternoon, my name is Murray Wilkinson, and this afternoon I'm going to be talking about generating finances across the generations. And part one today is about your 20s and your 30s, what to do and how to make it happen. Well, firstly, in your 20s, for the first time you've just completed 12 years of education in secondary school. You might have gone on and spent at least a minimum of 3 years, if not 4 years, either completing an undergraduate degree or gone through a trade and got an apprenticeship of some sort. All told, you've been a long time basically studying. But for the first time in your life, the unheard of is about to occur. You've actually got disposable income, and guess what? It's not your parents', it's yours. So now you've got this income, this newfound income. It's a question of what you've got to do to actually hold on to it. The 20s is a time when it's about getting some good habits in place. It's really easy to get some poor habits in place. And one of the poor habits I've talked about down here is avoiding fast food. Uber Eats, okay, that's fast food habits especially will take away your cash flow. But that's a small point, an important point but a small point. The first thing we always talk about with people in their 20s is the rule of 10%. The rule of 10% that you've got is that as a minimum you've got to save 10% of what your gross earnings are. So if you're earning $50,000 a year, the minimum you should be saving is $5,000 per annum out of that cash flow. That's the first rule. The second thing is how you actually do that. So how we talk about doing that is to pay yourself first. Paying yourself first means you've got to set up an initial account, which we call the hub account here at Future Gen, and that's where all of your income goes into it. And what we would suggest is you then pay yourself a lifestyle or discretionary expense allowance into a separate account, and that's the account you live out of. That way you're segmenting and separating the income that you're actually saving from the income you're actually spending. So people often say, well, that's great in terms of paying yourself first, but should I have a credit card? Is it good to get a credit card rating? Well, yeah, we think it's important to have a credit card, but we think it's equally important not to actually use the credit card. Just to have the credit card's good as a standby. We often suggest to our younger people that they use a debit card, because that way you have to be totally conscious of how much money you've got in the bank at all times. Debit cards are good. I mentioned before about fast food, don't need to say that again. And the other thing is start to learn about debt. We have a lot of young people who come to us who fall into the bad habits of credit card debt, refinancing one credit card or personal loan to another. So this is an important time of life to not make those key mistakes of accumulating too much debt, which will make you suffer later on. So that's the 20s. In the 30s, things are changing a bit more. In the 30s, by now, you've actually consolidated, hopefully, these good habits in terms of cash flow. You've saved up a bit of money, and more importantly, you've invested in yourself and you've started to build a career. You're in a well-paying job with career advancement, so things are going well. Importantly, you might have met someone special, and you might be contemplating a next step in your life. So the first thing we talk about is to protect what you have. And you're at the time of life now where you might be considering perhaps buying a home ownership or a family. At this time of life, we think life insurance has become important. You can often do this through your superannuation. You should take a greater interest in your superannuation. You should work through what life insurance you should have in place and what can be put through your superannuation fund. The most important thing is to protect your income. If you get sick or have an accident, at the very least, you should receive 75% of your income back through an insurance policy. That's important. Aside from the protection aspects, it's now a time to consider debt and wealth. Well, it might be a case of just saving for a home. Alternatively, it might be a situation where you've already saved a deposit and you're looking to basically borrow to actually buy that first home. So the different structures of how you do that are important, and we can certainly help you there. Or you could be one of those people who has no intention of actually buying a home, and you're thinking about what are the alternate ways that you can actually grow your wealth and invest, but not be too tied down. And there's some options there that can involve buying things such as managed funds, direct shares, borrowing to invest as you go. So there's a range of options to consider. But so what I've touched on today is in the 30s, protect what you have, think about debt and wealth and how you do it. And if you're thinking about home ownership, family, clue yourself up on what the structures and what the banks have available to actually do that. Hopefully you've got something out of today. Look forward to speaking to you next month. Oh, and I'll tick off the last one.